Well, good afternoon and greetings to you. Thanks for being with us on this Monday edition. An absolutely gorgeous day across western Pennsylvania. Isn't it fabulous, Kat?
It is so beautiful.
Lovely.
And it is so hot
Hot?
in this area of the station. I mean,
Wait.
and
That's very small. That's that went from like a large, geographical to this area of the station. What is that? Just that little corner?
No, well, yeah, because Christy's office is freezing cold.
Really?
So just this area of the station is hot.
Right.
But when I mean it's hot, I bet, do you think it's 90 degrees in my office?
It's pretty hot.
It's really, really hot.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. It just means, listen, I'd rather it be a nice, sunny, warm day than the alternative.
Yeah, I don't mean to complain.
No.
It was just overwhelming. It was one of those moments where you feel like I feel like I could be in a medically fragile state being in a room this hot.
Very nice. Have a good weekend?
I did have a good weekend. Thanks. I had a big thing happen.
Oh, a big thing.
Big thing happened.
Let me guess.
You're not going to be able to guess.
You had a baby.
No.
All right.
Okay, I didn't have a baby.
Okay.
I did something Saturday
You went skeet shooting.
that I have never done in my entire life.
And
you know what this thing is.
Oh.
But you don't know that I did it because you've mocked me for this over the years.
Oh, I love this already.
You have mocked me regularly.
Really?
Yep.
Well, please hold forth. So I'll stop the mocking.
On Saturday,
Yeah.
I mowed the lawn.
Hey.
What do you say,
That's
people? What do you say about
That's really
that?
good. Good for
now,
you.
There is,
Congratulations.
It's just one of those things. It's
Highly
not
recommended.
like I resisted mowing the lawn in the past.
No, it's
just
your
one of those
husband's
things.
job.
It just never, I'm pretty sure that my husband's never dressed a turkey.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, maybe now's his time.
Maybe this is his
You're
moment.
switching roles
This
here.
could be it.
What prompted that?
Well, so we were outside doing the lawn.
Yeah.
And our lawn has a lot of trees and there's a lot of leaves.
You got a lot of leaves falling already?
Oh, my gosh.
I don't have that many leaves falling already. I mean,
Well,
I've done some
we have a
raking,
lot of
but
leaves falling.
it's surprising how much leaves are still on the trees.
Well, sadly, it's sad. What we have ahead of us is way more than what we've done up
you
to
got
this
that right.
point. Okay, so
Yep.
it's borderline tragic. Anyway, I just feel my husband usually does it by himself, and I thought this is crazy. Because usually I was doing stuff with the kids. I was trying to manage this, that, and the other thing, and I don't have to do that right now. So I thought I need to go out there and help him. So anyway, I ended up not just raking, not just bagging, but I mowed the lawn.
You push the mower. Is it a self-propelled gas-powered mower?
It is an electric.
Electric? Well, Lottie, duh.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Is it made by Tesla?
We just purchased it about 3 months ago, John.
An electric mower? How's that? Well, I'm a little dubious about
Has
that.
a battery that you charge, and I was able to do the entire lawn in one charge.
Really? Did a good job.
Did a great job.
Must-
We've used it regularly now since June.
Really? Is it lightweight?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm kind of jealous.
Are you?
Yeah.
I feel like
The heck?
I'm a new
Really?
person.
Really?
I want this to inspire you, Christy, and you, John, to do a thing you've just never done before.
All right. I'm going to baste a turkey here real soon. I promise.
Okay, basting a turkey is
You
like
said-
the easy. No, dressing a turkey.
oh. Anyway, without further ado,
Basting a
Kath always
turkey.
gives us the top news stories
I
as we
like
start the
to.
show. Without further ado, Kath, please give us the top 4 at 4.
All righty. For a football night in Pittsburgh, Monday,
night.
November 8th, 2021.
I like it.
Number 1. All 8 of the victims have been identified in the deadly stage surge at the Astroworld Festival concert in Houston this weekend. Can you believe that
No.
story?
It's
Can
a
you?
horrendous story.
It really is.
This happens very seldom here in the U.S., but there's something you told me which I don't even go into this now.
Yeah,
Has
no, I'm
not
going to
been
go into it. Yeah, I'm
You
going
are?
to
What?
go
Really?
into it.
'Cause
I'm reading a story from ABC News. So first off, what I didn't realize until today is that Travis Scott has had a history of issues at concerts.
Now,
Did you
wait a
know
second.
that?
What does that even mean?
Okay.
history.
So in 2015, he was arrested on charges of inciting a crowd to jump barriers at a Lollapalooza concert in Chicago.
Okay.
Pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, paid a fine. 2017, he was arrested again after he invited more people to come closer to the stage, prompting fans at the Walmart Music Pavilion in Rogers, Arkansas, to breach barricades and overrun security. Okay. He also pleaded guilty to misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Prior to the fatal surge at the concert on Friday, some 300 people had been treated throughout the day at the music festival by on-site personnel, many instances where medical personnel had to administer Narcan, which is used to treat a narcotic overdose. Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said that during the pandemonium, a private security guard working at the festival was possibly injected in the neck with drugs as he was attempting to grab or restrain someone.
Now, is that real?
When he was ABC News. When he was examined, he went unconscious, the sheriff said. Medical staff administered Narcan. He was revived, and the medical staff did notice a prick similar to a prick you would get if someone was trying to inject you.
I'd like to know more about this. I mean, that seems like nutty.
It's pretty nutty. Number 2. The U.S. reopened its borders for fully vaccinated travelers from dozens of countries today.
Welcome.
That ends 18 months of restrictions on international travel.
Signs up.
That's left, families separated all over the world.
Yeah.
Tons of business lost. Here's the scoop. Fully vaccinated travelers can enter the U.S. if they show proof of vaccination and a negative coronavirus test taken within 3 calendar days of travel.
All right.
The ban on travel from 33 countries, including EU members, China, India, Iran, whatever. It cost nearly $300 billion in visitor spending and more than 1 million American jobs, according to today's New York Times. Number 3, the Trib reports that Pennsylvania school districts will be allowed to modify or end the mask mandate.
Great.
How about that for K-12 students
Bring
in
it.
January?
Let's get that done.
So that statewide mask mandate went into effect in early September, citing a surge in infections, which fortunately is now on the decline. A bunch of parents are mad. There are 2 lawsuits that have been filed against the governor seeking to overturn it. Those are pending. So we'll kind of see what happens. But I think that would be such a plus for teachers. I'm married to a teacher, and he gets. Can you imagine trying to yell in a gym full of students in a mask all day long?
Horrible.
Number 4. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz appears to think Big Bird is a government plant. Everybody's mad at Big Bird today. Did you hear about this?
Heard he got the jab.
Yeah. Sesame Street announced Saturday that Big Bird had gotten his COVID-19 vaccine just days after the FDA approved the Pfizer shot for children ages 5 to 11. This is what Big Bird said. This is going to make you mad. Are you ready?
Yep.
My wing's feeling a little sore, but it'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy. But you'd think that'd be good just because it's a puppet and Big Bird isn't real. But instead, it made everybody mad.
All right.
It's according to the New York Daily News. That's your top 4 at 4.
And the big news is the Big Bird's family can now join him wherever they were.
Big Bird's family, who's been in the EU since the
migratory
pandemic started.
patterns have been disrupted.
How old do you think Big Bird is supposed to be?
He's supposed to be 6.
Exactly. See, he's so good with the age thing. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about avian life or human life. He's just good about it.
All right.
Were you mad at Big Bird?
No, I missed that. No, I'm still thinking about the jab at the concert. No, that old crazy thing.
I know.
All right. We'll step away for a few minutes, and then we do come back. We're going to go to the White House, as we are wont to do on Monday. Greg Clugston joins us from the White House to talk about the top news stories affecting all of us. It's all peace and love at the nation's capital. It's bipartisan. Everyone's going, we did a good job.
Right.
Greg Clugston joins us from the White House. He's here to talk to us about the Biden administration and the massive infrastructure bill, among many other things that happen in D.C. Greg, welcome back. Happy Monday to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Kathy. Great to be here, as always.
Thank you.
So, Greg, according to Nancy Pelosi, it seems like she and her party, saved America. But I guess that wouldn't have happened. No infrastructure bill would have happened if it wasn't for were there 13 Republicans that crossed over, one from the great state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in the House, there were 13 Republicans signing on, while there were 6 progressives, liberals, however you wanted to describe some of the members of the Democrats who said no on this. So, yeah, and obviously there was bipartisan support on the Senate side as well. So you've got the White House as well as Democratic leaders on the Hill saying, look, bipartisan support, and the numbers, you can't argue with those numbers. There was bipartisan support traditionally over the decades when there have been these kinds of bills up for a vote. Funding for roads, bridges, and now internet, improving the electrical, grid and transit, all that stuff. It's typically been bipartisan. In more recent years, it's been a little bit more of a struggle to get over that partisan divide, but it happened again this time with bipartisan support.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say no to the hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to come to districts across the country. I mean, it's $1 trillion+ spending plan. So obviously, most people in their districts are going to have some sort of success with this money.
Absolutely, and that's why it has been traditionally a bipartisan supported kind of spending plan. Not that it happens every year, of course, but for something of this magnitude, because of what you just said, John. Because you've got local members of Congress who are able to. Did I just mute? Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
Okay. You've got members of Congress who are able then to, in their congressional districts, say to the voters, say to their supporters, this is what we're bringing back from Washington to improve our local communities and towns and cities. And that's why it's typically pretty popular.
Good.
So, so it's a good thing. I mean, I guess I'm asking you to make a moral judgment on this, Greg, which is not what you do. No. I recognize that. But so it's a good thing that it's bipartisan as far as the infrastructure bill goes. I want to go back to that. But if it wasn't for the Republicans, the Democrats couldn't have passed it on their own because of those progressives who decided to bail on it. So I don't know. I guess I'm asking what that tells us about where Washington is right now.
Sure. There may have been a little bit of cover for those 6 Democrats, knowing that there was going to be likely there was going to be some Republican support there so that they could still hold to their principled opposition to elements of the bill, and knowing that the president's agenda would still move forward. So there was maybe a little bit of cushion there for some of those holdout Democrats. But I think you're right in saying that it was still pretty slim, especially on the House side, in terms of overall support for this kind of package. And of course, this is just one of 2 huge legislative bills right now that the White House is trying to get through Congress. We've been talking about it here on Mondays for weeks and months about the intra-party fighting among Democrats in terms of the size and the scope of not just the infrastructure package, but also this social spending bill that includes elements of funding for education and healthcare and climate and a lot of other issues. And that one still needs to move forward, and that's going to be a heavier and has been a heavier lift than this bipartisan infrastructure bill. So that one is about double the cost of this $1 trillion infrastructure package. So there's still more work to do on that. The president just finished up an event with the Milwaukee Bucks out on the South Lawn. I was out there for that. He stopped by and talked to a group of reporters. He told us that he's still optimistic that he can get it done, but he understands it's still going to be a heavy lift.
I see. Well, the Bucks are big fans of the president today. However, the polls show otherwise across the electorate. Yeah.
Yeah, there have been any number of polls over the last few weeks, especially since the late summer. Of course, we had the Afghanistan withdrawal that was pretty messy, that did not get good reviews from hardly anybody. And of course, there are weighing concerns on the economy and inflation, and that has really, dragged the president's job approval numbers down. There's a brand new poll out today from USA Today and Suffolk University showing the president's job approval rating at 38%,
Wow.
the vice president's approval rating at 28%. Wow. And it's really interesting because among those who were asked if they were pleased or not about the president's performance, there were a number of, more than about a third, I think, of Democrats who said that they were surprised that the president was not doing as well as they had hoped he would. And there were also 28% of Democrats who said that they don't want Joe Biden to run for re-election. Now, obviously, these poll numbers can and will probably change in either direction over the next year before the midterms, and certainly during the course of the president's first term. But these are some early warning signs for the president in terms of the public's perception of how he's handling his job here at the White House.
That's a low number, Greg.
Yeah, they've been trending down.
Wow.
He had been right in the low 50s for the first few months, and then it's been into the 40s. Not all of the polls are in the high 30s, but a few of them have been. So
Wow.
there's been a definite downward trend. The White House obviously is hoping that with momentum, what they hope is momentum following this infrastructure bill and in getting some other accomplishments, because part of the narrative of this entire discussion over the last number of months has been Democrats fighting amongst themselves
Right.
over getting something done. Right. And that's exactly the kind of storyline the White House doesn't want.
Right.
So then the split is that on the Democrat side, the progressives are upset with the Biden administration for not doing enough of the socialist progressive push that they want. And of course, on the Republican side, anything the Democrats do, we're not going to jump in on that as well. So he's sort of getting it from both sides, which I guess in many ways, is it business as usual, or is this an unusual time that your own party is eating your lunch as well?
Well, it's maybe a little of both, but it reminds me of when John Boehner was the Republican Speaker of the House, and he was dealing with the Tea Party contingent that was very
Right.
firm on the other wing. You've got the liberals fighting with Joe Biden, and now and back then you had the strong conservatives holding their position, and it's a very difficult job as House Speaker or president of the party at the White House to try and bring unity, find a coalition among differing, segments of your own party.
Yeah. Greg Clugston with us, SRN News White House correspondent. So let's talk about the president's vaccine mandate. News comes today that the U.S. Borders are now open for international travelers. If you're if you have a vaccine, if you have a coronavirus test within 2 or 3 days, you can now come on back in. But what about workers here in America? I thought this was, for 150 people or more. That was going to be the way it was in America. And what stopped it?
Yeah, this has been a long process. And what we've asked the White House over the months, the Biden administration, when is this travel restriction policy going to change? And they've always said that this is an internal governmental agency process review that's in place, and it's basically bureaucracy, but obviously with an effort. With an eye toward the health of travelers and the health of the public safety, the safety of the public. But this has been a long time coming. You're talking 19, 20 months or so since parts of Canada, Mexico, other countries in Europe have been folks have not been allowed to travel here, whether they're tourists or on business, unless they were permanent residents of the United States or American citizens. So there are a lot of relieved families that are finally getting a chance to be reunited, but it's been sort of a halting process and a little messy. And the administration often hasn't said exactly what was the holdup for changing. Obviously, with COVID, it's been a fluid situation with various spikes of the variant and all the rest. But a lot of people are happy to be able to travel starting today.
That's good. So, Greg, let's talk about the courts, and they have temporarily halted the tax mandate for businesses. This is big news as well, because in many ways, it's sort of crippling the Biden push forward.
Right. So we learned last week from the Biden administration some of the details about this vaccine mandate that would apply to companies in the U.S. that employ 100 people or more. And that affects about 2/3 of the entire U.S. workforce. So it's a very broad mandate affecting a lot of this country. And you have had attorneys general in more than 24 states already moved forward with lawsuits and legal action against this kind of mandate. And then on Friday or Saturday, we had the federal appeals court essentially put up a stop sign and temporarily halt this measure from going forward. So it's going to be legally challenged. The White House, the Department of Justice plan to defend it vigorously. They believe they have the legal standing and authority to issue this kind of directive that would affect not just obviously the government workforce, federal workers, but private companies and workers, American workers for those private companies. So that's what the rub is in terms of whether it's constitutional or not.
What a mess.
All right. Well, Greg, with only a couple minutes left, I have two very important questions to ask you about. The first being that we found a news story today about a couple who stumbled upon a 17-pound potato in their garden. This is reported in today's Washington Post.
Is the administration talking about this?
Yeah, it appears to be the largest potato ever seen on record, certainly in a domestic backyard. And so, have you ever grown anything in your yard that you were afraid of?
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's bigger than pumpkins that I've tried to grow.
How about that?
To be honest, yeah, 17 pounds.
Yeah.
17 pounds.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah,
It's a big
that
spud.
that'd make a lot of great waffle fries, I guess.
So, but you've never grown anything that you personally were
No.
afraid of?
No, certainly.
Okay.
No.
All right, well, that's good
pretty
news.
impressive,
But
though.
that was reported in the Washington Post, so that's your backyard. So I'd look out if I were you. The second thing is I'd be wearing this if it wasn't so blooming hot in here. But the Steelers are playing on Monday Night Football, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
And so
yes.
I need to know where your allegiance is.
Steelers Browns.
No,
I'm sorry,
Steelers Bears.
Excuse me. Steelers Bears.
Well, I've always hesitated and worried if we would venture much into NFL discussion because your audience has been very kind toward me over the years.
So far.
And, we so far exactly we have a difference of opinion when it comes to rooting for football teams.
That's your right.
Now my allegiance goes to my hometown, growing up hometown, which is now an NFC team. So you've got that going for you.
Well, so that's Seattle, right?
That is the Seattle Seahawks. Yes.
Yeah, well, we took care of them, so don't worry
So
about
then
it.
for the
Yeah,
tonight's
you
game.
did, and that's part of the reason why I have a hesitancy about talking about the Steelers.
So there's a resentment.
No, it's just hard feelings between that Super Bowl and, bad calls and all that. So,
Now, what do you mean bad calls?
you know what I'm saying? People,
I
do.
you know what I'm saying?
I can't believe you
It's
said bad calls.
contentious.
I can't believe you said bad
It's
calls.
contentious.
I'm
Right.
just glad that John brought it up because I didn't have to.
I'm trying to be fair. That's all I'm trying to
I
be.
appreciate it.
Okay, yeah.
Fair and balanced, John Hall.
Thank you so much. Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. Greg, enjoy your evening. Kath and I will be in front of our television sets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Enjoy the game, guys.
Thanks so
Okay,
much.
good to see you, Greg.
Let's go Steelers. Take a quick break, come back.
All right, coming up next, what is this story?
Wait, this is
Seriously,
the story?
the potato 17 pounds?
This is
That's
gonna be
the
the thread
story.
through
It's
the
what
whole
we're
show?
talking about, baby.
We go to the White House and talk about potatoes at the White House.
There are worse threads. Such an important news story, and I misspoke about it.
Big. This is big.
It is big. So it was reported in the Washington Post that a couple stumbled upon a 17.2 pound to be
What
specific.
do you mean you stumbled
potato.
upon it?
I'll tell you in a minute. In their garden.
It's under-
However, it's not in the Washington area. It's in New Zealand, which is not very close to the Washington
No,
area.
it's a bit of a drive.
Apparently, a New Zealand couple was weeding their garden in late August when they spotted this mysterious mass beneath the soil. They didn't even know what it was. It was so huge and ugly looking. It looks like
A rock.
no. It looks like a
Bird's
mushroom almost. It looks like a fungal growth. Anyway, this couple got on their hands and knees, dug it out. I mean, look at. Have you seen a picture of it?
I have.
It's very strange.
I thought it was a sculpture at first.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a modern sculpture.
They said it was brown, lumpy, and deformed. So they couldn't identify what it was. But Colin,
Potato.
the man, bravely executed a taste test and said, "Oh my gosh, honey, it's a potato." So they had cultivated what they now believe is the world's largest potato ever.
That's surprising. I would think like 17 pounds. You know, I know it's a big potato, but I would think, large potatoes have been grown.
Well, the Guinness Book of World Records, John, is just under 11 pounds for a potato.
Doesn't make
and
any
that
sense.
was some guy in England.
Really?
So they decided to
guy.
appeal to the Guinness Book of World Records and see what they thought of it.
Really?
And they have not yet at this point heard back.
Do you think they ate it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It is a very ugly potato, but they are very excited about it. They've gotten a lot of publicity, and they are now putting hats on the potato and taking photographs and posting them
It looks like a small baby.
because that's what
Doesn't
social media is for. Looks like a small baby. That's
Yeah.
not a small baby.
Well, you know what I mean. With a hat on it, it does.
Yeah, but I mean, think about your
A
average.
17-pound
I think your
baby?
average baby's 7 pounds or
Honey,
something.
we're having a potato.
Yeah.
How do you like your potatoes?
Every which way. I
Every
can't think
which
of a
way.
way I don't like a potato.
Really?
I would
Mashed?
like them mashed with gravy. I like them mashed with butter and salt. I
Yep.
think that's delicious. I very much appreciate a baked potato.
Me too.
I would like a potato skin that's covered with cheddar cheese and bacon. I think that's delicious.
very good.
I very much enjoy French fries. I think potato chips are great.
Of course they are. You like sour cream on your potato?
I think sour cream is a delicious
I don't.
option.
Not on my potato.
Okay, I'm good with it.
No, just doing butter.
I think I'd rather do butter, but if you made me, it wouldn't be a hardship
Really?
for me to add
No,
sour
it
cream.
kinda
in there.
ruined it for me.
How about chives?
Oh, I'm happy to have a chive.
But even without the sour cream?
See, now you had the chives. I guess then I would go
Yeah,
for
I
the sour
think you
cream.
kinda
and you
need
could
them
top
both.
it off with the bacon. You're good to go.
Right. Bacon is delicious. Of
course.
I seriously can't think of any way that I don't like a potato. And sweet potato, I think I'm an even bigger fan.
Really? A sweet potato?
Love it.
Yeah.
Christy, how do you feel about the potato?
I don't like sweet potatoes.
Oh, you don't?
No, I will eat regular potatoes anyway with sour cream.
Sour cream.
Okay, what about, will you eat them without sour cream?
I will,
Okay.
but sour cream just adds to it.
What are the best fries in Pittsburgh? You have an opinion? I mean, it used to be the O. Remember the O fries?
I don't think those were ever the best
They
fries
were
in
excellent.
Pittsburgh.
No, they were excellent.
I wouldn't put that in the best.
I would. Do you like a string fry or do you like a
Both.
steak fry?
Both.
Doesn't matter.
I'm fine with either one. I think it goes to Butter Joint in North Oakland.
That's your go-to place lately.
I haven't been there in 6 months, but I very much like their fries.
Right. All right.
Yeah. What would you have a special place that
I
you
don't.
choose?
I really, I do. I would do some home fries at DeSaro's.
Oh, see, I don't really like home fries.
What?
I mean, it's not that I don't like them.
How about when they're burnt? I like burnt home. They're crusty and
You
hard.
like that, Christy? Like the breakfast thing with home fries?
I like hash browns instead of home fries.
Okay, what about this?
Hash browns, isn't it like sort of processed? Like they're scraping it on like a little. That,
You can get them like the little patties.
I don't like that. That's
Oh,
fake.
the patties are
That's
the best.
The patties are delicious.
No,
though.
that's not even a fry.
I have a whole bunch in my freezer. They're the best.
like plastic.
They are really,
No.
really good.
That's not good for your health.
Okay, I'm sure it's not. Okay, so going back to DeSaro's though, the boiled redskins are superior,
Yeah, I like a redskin.
and it's super healthy.
Oh, super.
Just
Who doesn't
trying
love
to
a
bring
fry?
nutrition into it.
Okay, I do. All right, we'll take a quick break. Come back. We do. Ministries help job seekers find a paycheck with a purpose. After the pandemic, people are going, I'm not going to go back. I'm doing something more significant with my life. We'll talk about that next. One of the the word. One of the proudest things of coming through this pandemic, I think, Kath, for you and I'll speak for you here, is essentially making it through the pandemic. Here we are every day, and we're doing this thing, and you juggle a lot of different stuff, and all of a sudden politics came upon us, and you love being here, and you love being able to talk about God and about a higher purpose and faith and all these things. And I think, for a lot of people, the pandemic changed their perspective of their daily work. How do you make a living? And especially, how do you make a living with some purpose? I think it gave that time off people an opportunity, if they were fortunate enough, an opportunity to reevaluate where they are in their lives. You think that's fair?
I think so.
Well, Erica Anderson's with us. Wrote a terrific piece at Christianity Today. Ministries help job seekers find a paycheck with a purpose. Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So the paycheck is one thing, and that's important. But you're thinking paycheck with a purpose, which is a whole other level. Is that too much to hope for?
I don't think it's too much to hope for. And I think that the pandemic really gave people the time that they needed to think about what it is they really wanted in life. One thing that I thought was really interesting that I discovered in my research is that a big percentage of moms and women were the ones that had to lose their jobs during COVID because their kids were home from school. And what we're finding now is that a lot of them are choosing either not to go back to work or choosing a different career path moving forward, because that time gave them a minute to think, is this really what I want to be doing? Mm-hmm. And so they were able to kind of make that choice.
Yeah. Okay, so in the piece you wrote for CT, Erica, you talk about a company not too far here from our studios in Pittsburgh in West Virginia, the Cray Company. Tell us that story.
Yeah. So the Cray Company actually only started in 2019. So they, if you were a business that started up in 2019, you didn't know what you had coming. And so in 2020, they actually had to kind of pivot from their original business model, which was going to be more, having people come inside and do a whole bunch together there. And then we were all sort of needing to be separate. So it's a faith-based organization that brings together different kinds of creators and offers them a space and the equipment they need to do some of those creative jobs or creative sort of side hustles that they have to create steady income, part-time or full-time.
Cool.
Right. So several things that you mentioned here in the article, which I think are interesting. One member, a disabled coal miner, made personalized masks and began selling them online. A popular version made wearers look like Hulk Hogan. An engineer seeking a side hustle used Cray's 3D printers and recycled small engine parts to make props for student films at Liberty University. A local pastor used Cray's lasers to custom engrave his woodwork, now displayed on each table in his son's newly opened restaurant in town. So clearly, this is stuff that's outside the box. This isn't your classic, 9-to-5 work.
No. And, I'm thankful for Travis Lowe, who is the co-founder of Cray. He gave me some of those examples. And, I'm sitting here going, man, these people are really creative people. Like, who would have even thought of some of these things? But I think when you have the space to maybe brainstorm, maybe dream a little bit where you didn't before, there's a lot of things you could sort of come up with that you wouldn't have in the hustle of life that COVID sort of put a stop to.
Yeah. Okay. So then what about that? I mean, you raised so many really interesting stories and questions in your piece about the church in some ways, being vocational, right? I mean, this is an unusual sort of arena for the church to walk into. But as you've illustrated, there is space for this. And certainly now with, federal money and whatnot and churches being able to survive the pandemic, there is a flow here that will make people, sort of aspirational in a different way that I don't think, at least people didn't think about the church's perspective or duty in some ways before the pandemic. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that wrote this article is because of some Barna research, Barna, a Christian research firm that came out, talking about what is the role of the church in vocation in a Christian's life, and do Christians look to the church for direction in that area? And I was kind of surprised that the number was lower than I expected it to be. It was like 1 in 5. And when I talked to Andy Crouch, who is sort of known for his, he's sort of a leader in the the vocation and church sort of movement.
Yeah.
He said he was a little bit disappointed that it was so low. And that meant that a lot of Christians aren't even thinking about church as a place to find some of those resources or to find the meaning for work inside the church, when really, though, that the church really can be a guiding light and a guiding force for those parts of our lives. And almost any job we do, we can cultivate meaning from that. It's just a matter of how we're thinking about it and the kind of decisions we're making to inject that meaning into what we're doing.
According to your piece here, it says that church-going Christians, and this is in reflecting a Barna report, church-going Christians are more likely to seek and find purpose in their jobs than others. Most say their local churches do help them understand how to live out their faith in the workplace, and there's been an uprising of parachurch ministries structured around work-life purpose in recent years. However, that number you brought up is interesting, that only 1 in 5 people ever think to go to their church and ask questions about vocational matters.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just sort of separate the two. They sort of put church in one bucket and they put work lives in another bucket. But, I think as Christians, every part of our Christianity, sort of bleeds into every other part of our life. It's sort of the foundation that everything else is built on. And so, and maybe churches themselves are not, sort of making it known that they are available to help with that kind of a thing. Obviously, bigger churches are going to have more resources and more kind of classes, small groups, like I wrote about with Willow Creek in there. But I think this kind of stuff and like the rising up of the parachurch ministries, which, I was surprised at how many I found, kind of goes to show that we're seeing a shift in how people are thinking about it, or at least how ministry leaders are thinking about it. And they're seeing the need for some leadership on this issue when they look at the Christian workplace as a whole.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. That's Erica Anderson, author of Leaving Cloud 9. She's the host of the podcast Worth Your Time. And you can find out more about Erica online at ericaanderson.com. Erica, your last name is S-E-N. Is that correct?
Yes, and I am so sorry that I'm signed in as someone else on Zoom.
That's all right. Well, next time you join us, we'll have you on as your actual self.
Hey, but good work, though. Really,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's very interesting, though.
Thank you so much.
Now, I don't know if you've celebrated Tongue Twister Day in the past.
I have not. I didn't even know it was such a thing, but
That's why you
shouldn't
tune
be
into the ride
surprised.
home with John and Kathy. I have a couple I'd like to share with you because
Tongue
if we're
twisters?
celebrating, then I think we should just celebrate it.
Okay, good.
Are you ready?
I like a tongue twister.
Do you like this one? Betty bought butter, but the butter was bitter. So Betty bought better butter to make the bitter butter better.
I know that one. It's very nice.
Show off.
Yeah. No.
Listen to how he knows that one.
Well, no,
Christy.
because you do voice and speech in school. The big black bug bit the big black bean, made the big black bean bleed.
That's a good one. How about Betty's big bunny bobbled by the blueberry bush?
Oh, very
You
nice.
familiar with that one?
No.
No. Okay. How about how much wood could a woodchuck
Sure,
chuck
sure,
if a
sure,
woodchuck
sure,
could
sure,
chuck
sure,
wood?
yeah.
You know that one, right? How about good, better, best? Never let it rest until your good is better and your better's best.
I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
Now, in voice and speech, we would regularly do these as vocal warm-ups.
Sure.
Right. So you would kind of start off with bodega, 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 and then you could switch Topeka, 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 So my voice and speech teacher, Don Wadsworth, when he had his first kid, we as a class, we voted and thought they should name that child Bodega.
I think that's a great idea, but I bet he didn't take to
He
that.
did not. Or Topeka. They were not necessarily cuddly named. I mean, you do vocal warm-ups. You're a vocalist.
Yeah, you have to. I don't. Yeah, but mine are more like that.
Oh, you're not doing enunciation?
Not
They go
as
hand in
much
hand.
enunciation. They do. How about shut up the shutters and sit in the shop?
Whoa. That's ripe for a lot of that.
What do you think, Christy?
That's dangerous.
Come in.
That's too much for me.
It is. You've never done vocal warm-ups?
Oh yeah, I took theater classes in college.
There you go. See? Everybody should be doing
Okay, you
these
ready?
things.
I keep saying, "Are you ready?" You could just say yes, and I can
Strap
keep asking
me in,
the
and
question.
here we go with the tongue twisters, Kath.
A certain young fellow named Beebe wished to marry a lady named Phoebe,
Hmm.
but he said, "I must see what the minister's Phoebe before Phoebe be Phoebe Beebe."
Oh.
That's a good one,
That's a
you
very
guys.
nice. Very nice.
That's a good one.
Imagine sitting around all day long and making the tongue twisters up. People did not have internet then, did they?
No. A pessimistic pest exists amidst us.
A pessimistic pest
A pessimistic pest
exists
amidst us.
That's difficult. You have to slow that down very deeply, right? And then rev up to a certain speed.
Yeah. Come, stay calm. Stay calm. No need for alarm. It only hums, it doesn't harm.
I like that too.
While we were walking, we were watching window washers wash Washington's windows with warm washing water.
Whoa.
See, I couldn't get through that
That's
one.
very nice. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay, but I wanted to go too.
Ken Dodd's dad's dog's dead.
Poor Ken.
I know, it's a hard day for him.
Wait, say that again.
Ken Dodd's dad's dog's dead.
That's funny.
Mary Mac's mother's making Mary Mac marry me. My mother's making me marry Mary Mac. Will I always be so merry when Mary's taking care of me? Will I always be so merry when I marry Mary Mac?
See, someone's not in their right minds.
No.
That's just like overboard there, right?
Okay, here's the hardest one.
Yeah.
This is what I have understood. It's the hardest tongue twister of all
Okay,
time.
good. Very nice. Go for it. Are you ready?
The sixth sick sheep's sick. Can you do that one?
No.
Do you know that one?
I have heard that one.
The sixth sick sheep's sick. That's pretty rough. Anyway, happy National Tongue Twister
Happy
Day.
National Tongue Twister Day. Yeah. I wonder, I wonder if they're like, tongue twisters, for certain families, they become sort of like a game. Right, if your father, I would imagine
Weird family.
No, like my friend Don Wadsworth, who's a voice and speech professional now at Carnegie Mellon University.
Yeah.
He's made his career. Now our friend Darren Elliker, there is something about speech. Some people have such a very profound and a precise a need for speech that you would think that people would embrace that. I mean, it's kind of like Dr. Doolittle in a way, right?
I don't know who Dr. Doolittle is.
I'm sorry, not Dr. Well, My Fair Lady, not Dr. Doolittle.
Oh, right. I can't think of what his name was.
Henry Higgins.
Henry Higgins.
Yes.
Right.
There are people that, are lean into that.
Right.
Can become-
Enunciation.
Yes. Pronunciation, enunciation.
All right. So moving on from that, happy that it's a football night in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
At the end of today's program at 5:50, we'll talk about our picks from Friday. We'll see how they turned out.
Do you have
Also,
any, what's your meal?
for tonight, Thank you for asking. I stopped at the store on my way here,
And
I got something that's not going to sound very exciting to anybody.
but you'll like it in your
I
household.
will like it.
And your
You're gonna
husband.
see, I don't even want to talk about it because you
Why?
guys are going to make fun of me.
Because you know what? I want to stop at the store on the way home and grab myself
Okay.
a few snacks.
Okay.
Like I haven't had a bag of chips for a while.
Yeah, so it's tonight's
So
tonight.
this would be a good night for a bag of chips.
Do you want to know what I got?
Don't say like what.
You're gonna. All right. So
Black licorice?
what we're having scrambled eggs with cheddar cheese tonight,
Oh.
chives on top, and I got nice greens for a salad on the side.
Whoa, that's crazy.
told you.
Guys are going
Guys.
full throttle at the household. I mean, who doesn't like chives and scrambled eggs? You're crazy. Stop it. I can't believe they're doing that at the Emmons household. I mean, some people, that's like, how do you hold it together? That's rough.
You asked me what I got, and I'm telling you.
Christy, for this evening, snacks planned in your household.
I have some leftover Italian wedding soup. That's
Ooh,
just going to
okay.
be what I have.
Whoa, again, a whole leftover wedding soup. I mean,
Listen, I had to cancel my grocery order yesterday.
why is that?
There was nobody to do the shopping.
What do you mean?
So, like, I do grocery pickup, so they have to shop for me.
Yeah.
What?
And there
I've
was
never done
nobody
that.
to do. Oh, it's the best.
I've never once done that. Is that Instacart?
Yeah. But there was nobody to shop for me.
And
So-
you've forgotten how to shop on your own.
So what? You didn't go to the store yourself?
No, because I went to church and I was trying to like pick it up on my way home.
Right.
And then I was going to my parents.
See, you're so good.
my whole day was just ruined.
Shot because
Yeah.
of
So
that.
you have no snacks for tonight either.
I have nothing.
Well, stop on the way home.
Okay.
What time's kickoff?
8:15.
Plenty of time.
John, snacks for tonight.
I'm the aforementioned here. Here's the problem. Once you hit the chip aisle, then it's carnage.
Okay. Do you feel like you're going barbecue Fritos?
I thought about that. That may be a game time decision.
Okay. Now I want you to know I was thinking ahead when I was at Trader Joe's last week, and you're going to make fun of me again.
Uh-oh.
But I did get these soy and flaxseed chips from Trader Joe's,
that's the
which are
worst.
delicious.
You should be ashamed of
They
yourself.
are delicious.
Seriously.
They are so
Soy
good.
No, they're not. That's ridiculous.
They are good.
Anyone who would say soy and flaxseed chips are good, they don't belong in the same sentence. I seriously feel bad. I do.
I am
You should
fine
not-
with it. It is you get a little
Soy
bit of
and
nutrition
flax-
and a lot of salt. And what's bad about that?
Everything. Soy and flaxseed chip sound just sad. It should be womp womp womp. It should be that sign all the. Go get some Fritos, please, or some Cheetos. Mm-hmm. Just something.
Do you think?
I know.
I do have Oreos that are hiding out
There
in
you
the
go. Okay,
refrigerator.
that's fine. Then
Could do
wash the
that.
soy and flaxseed down with about 8 Oreos.
8.
8.
If you start out with the Oreos, you got to go 15 or more.
Okay, fine.
I just feel like you do.
I was trying to be gentle with you after the soy and flaxseed. Holy smokes. Seriously, that is a sorry sight.
It
That
is.
is sad. We just looked out the window here
Yep.
during the top of the hour break. The sun is setting.
It is tragic.
It's 5:04, and official sunset is at 5:08. So
Listen,
plunging into darkness. Plunging, I would say.
when you work till 6:30, whatever it is, 6:45, at this time of year, it's just dark, dark.
It is, yeah.
That's all it is. And you and I get like really crabby about it. Okay, but I
Put it
brought
out
this
there.
to cheer you up, John. I was going to wear
You
it.
brought me a hoodie.
No, I don't want to give it to you because I love it so much. But I wanted to wear my football gear because it's a football night in Pittsburgh.
Let's go.
And I feel extremely positive about tonight's matchup with the Chicago Bears.
How are the Bears?
They stink.
Oh, good. I
Thank
feel
you
good
for
about them, too.
asking.
Now, look, we've got a friend from Chicago who, texted us earlier, tries to harass us a little bit,
Yeah.
which I felt bad because as much of his love is for the Bears, he did not know that Mike Ditka is about 2 miles away from us here.
Can you believe that?
Born in Carnegie, PA.
Ridiculous.
The epitome of 80s The Bears.
Right.
And also proprietor of a fine chain of restaurants as well, I might add.
I haven't been to Ditka's in years.
Christy,
We used to
no.
go there all the
Oh,
time.
phenomenal.
Isn't
Oh.
it the best?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes for me.
Is
And
it?
let me tell
The
you right
best.
now that for years they had the best turkey burger in history. It was
Soy.
it wasn't soy.
It's all that same stuff.
It was it's not the same.
It's
Soy
kind of
is
this-
not turkey.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, it was his favorite.
Ditka's.
Yeah, Coach's favorite is what it said on the menu. And you know what I loved about it? It was super hot. Like there were chilies in it or something. It was, and then one day it just disappeared from the menu.
Yeah, they came to their senses.
I couldn't believe it.
You know,
Remember that time we went out? Yeah,
I
you
do.
were going to bring that up?
I do,
I'll
yeah.
tell that story to the people, would
Okay,
you?
yeah. So our boss invited us to dinner or to lunch,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's go. We'll go to Ditka's and have a nice lunch, which was great. I mean, it doesn't happen that often. Even more rare, essentially now. So we were like, hey, we'd love to go. So you and I and management, just the three of us, went out for a nice lunch. So waitress came. You go, I'll do the turkey burger. I was like, oh, that's fabulous. But the boss said, management said, I think I'd like to have a steak for lunch. Like I'm going to go, oh, gee, not me. If management's doing the steak, Johnny's jumping on those coattails. So we did a steak, management and I, and you did the aforementioned turkey burger. The bill came, and of course, management's footing the bill. What was the sum total of that bill?
The sum total of the bill was $159. And my turkey burger was $7.95.
Good for you. See, look, always consciously minding, thinking about the good of the corporation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I had myself a nice steak, and someone paid for it. I mean, that's like the ultimate lunch, is it not?
It was mine
Ultimate.
was ultimate. It was a delicious, delicious lunch.
Yeah, that's how it rolls. Anyway,
Okay,
good for the Steelers.
so
Go.
the game time is 8:15 tonight. Christy has no snacks. You have not purchased your snacks yet. I feel very excited about what I have, even if you did mock me.
Are
So-
eggs snacks?
I think. Well, that's dinner, really.
What? Eggs are not snacks. What's not a snack?
You're on the same boat as me. We don't have snacks.
no
we have
snack. No,
dinner.
she's got the
Too bad
soy thing.
It's too bad we don't live closer. We could have a good time.
How about
As it is, we're on different sides of the city, and it's really. I think you should reconsider. I really do.
Do you have any leftover Halloween candy that you would fill in as a snack?
No, we had 7 pieces left. Oh, you
Bingo.
do?
My mom hooked me up yesterday with sweet tarts.
Very nice. Sweetheart heaven. For
You
the
love
season.
your sweet tarts.
I do. My mom bought me some.
But no Smarties because you
Nope.
don't like those.
Nope.
All right. I mean, the very worst, hopefully some people have some leftover Halloween candy, right? Or some popcorn. Popcorn always comes in handy. If you got nothing in there, right? Popcorn.
Popcorn is always an appropriate snack, especially because I have as beverage options vanilla Coke,
Yeah.
Arnold Palmer,
Oh.
and I have apple cider from Sorgles.
Oh, you're living large then. If you got popcorn and apple cider, that's an appropriate snack.
I think it's going to be great.
All right. Yeah. Yesterday was my wife's birthday, and we had some snacks for my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
Which are sort of like bleeding over into the Steeler game as well. So, but I am still going to try to get to the Giant Eagle and do some barbecued Fritos and a bag of chips.
I don't think I've ever tasted barbecued Fritos. I've had Fritos a lot. I don't think I've ever had. Are they really delicious?
Yeah, they're delicious.
they're bomb.
Yeah, they are delicious. Along with some dip. How about the honey? They're just okay. The honey Fritos. I'm not particularly. My kids like those.
Honey Fritos.
Yeah, I don't know. Some kind of like honey blah blah blah.
Huh. Okay. Now I feel like I should have gotten one of those when I was at the store.
We're only like 2 minutes away from a Giant Eagle.
Yeah, but I was already at the store today. Do I need to go twice? She's not going ever, and I'm going to go twice.
You know, what's the Instacart thing?
Well, you don't even have to use Instacart. You can just go online and order your Giant Eagle groceries and just have someone shop for you. You've never done that.
Never once.
You've never done that.
That seems really excessive to me. Really, it does. If I had a knee injury, maybe. But otherwise, I'm not doing it. Why do I want somebody to shop for me? I'm able-bodied, willing to go out and face the crowds. Unless I'm really injured or infirm.
You're providing a job for someone else, John.
That's the problem. Right, we need people like in the factories, and all of a sudden we get people in the grocery aisles bitten apple juice.
Whatever it takes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, wait. I want to say one thing. We had a guy on a show with us last week.
Mm-hmm.
He was picking up his microphone and moving it around like it was like a pipe holder or something. He was moving like over here and coming over.
Yeah, because he's an old radio guy. He's used to the.
I'm like,
he's used to the
the heck's he doing there? All of a sudden he's like the Beatles at Shea Stadium or something. I want to hold your hand. It was weird. Just very strange.
He was fine with it.
I liked it, though.
I just tried to get out of the way.
Mimic it as well.
Anyway, coming up next, we're going to talk to a local man written up. There's a profile piece about him
the doctor.
In the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. The doctor's in, John. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bob Lipinski and his wife, Susan, they got a story to tell.
I hope they're wearing Steeler gear.
Find out next. Stick around. I don't know about you, but I love to hear people's stories about how they came to Christ. It's fascinating. And oftentimes people kind of go, well, I really don't have much of a story to tell. It's not that dramatic. Well, we've got the opposite of that today. Dr. Bob Lipinski is with us, and his story is pretty amazing. His wife, Susan, is with him as well. And we saw an article last week. Chris Mamula in the Post-Gazette interviewed Dr. Bob, and I thought, well, we got to have this on air because, Bob, Susan, welcome to the show. It's just really, really so excited to have you with us here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
It's good to be here.
Okay, Bob, in the article that I just mentioned here, you tell a story where you were, just for lack of a better word, you were, I can say this on the air, you were a bit of a hellraiser, right?
Yeah, big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go back and tell us your story. As a young boy, what was life like for you?
Well, I originally was born in Millville, I believe, and lived on a farm down there. It wasn't a big farm. It was like 3 acres, I think.
Yeah.
And
Move a little closer to the mic, Bob, so we can hear you better.
Okay. And right in Millville and right above the football field, we had a farm. And that's where I sort of grew up till probably, I think, 7, 8 or so. Then we sold the farm and moved to Shaler Township. And we moved quite a few times after that for a while till we got up into, another part of Shaler, really, up in, I'm trying to think, right off of Babcock Boulevard. And lived there till I grew up a bit,
Yeah.
So when did the hell raising start?
Well, it actually started when I was about 11 a bit because we had pear trees in our yard, and a neighbor knew how to make wine. So my dad and him got together and made wine. Well, me and his son, we would get into the wine. It was crazy. I mean, we were pretty good back then,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All things considered. But then you were off to the races. But there was something about you as a kid, right? That you wanted to find trouble.
Well, it seemed like it. Yeah. I don't know. We used to play with BB guns, a bunch of us, and shoot one another with them in the woods. And I hit a friend right in the eye. I thought I knocked his eye out, but
Good
I
gravy.
didn't.
Okay, so then 8th grade, you were like, I'm done with my formal education. I'm going to quit school. And your mom and dad said, okay.
Yeah, they did. They didn't give me any problem, because I really, I went to 9th grade, but I went there to sleep.
Yeah.
And I worked with my brother and brother-in-law had a garage. I started fixing cars.
But that was your gift, thank goodness.
Yeah, for sure. And been doing that ever since. It's just mushroomed and grew into a couple other businesses my brother picked up in, and we did fix cars all the time, a lot of automatic transmissions.
I see.
Stuff like that. And then they would like to go to the bar after work, and I would be with them.
Sure.
So I'd sort of help myself to their drinks after we were there for a little while.
As a kid, even still as a kid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You're pretty young.
I think it's pretty common, or at least the story was pretty common, right? I mean, now,
Yep.
of course, there's structures in place that, kids you can't walk into a bar.
Right.
But in the old days, if you looked old enough, you could drink freely.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I mean, I actually did that later on. I was 16, 17.
Yeah.
I grew a beard and everything.
And passed for
Yeah.
and no one even cared.
No, you'd just go anywhere.
Okay, so then in the article, it's fascinating because you talk about a couple of things. At one point, you found yourself in a bar dancing with, of all people, Diana Ross.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
Well, a bunch of us went down McKees Rocks, a club down there, and they were playing down there. And I don't know how it happened, but I was drinking again, you
Yeah.
know, already, and just went up and started dancing around her, and we danced a little bit.
What was she there for? Do you
She
know?
was singing.
Really?
They were doing a show.
And how long ago was this? What year?
Geez.
60s, 70s, you think?
Let's see. Yeah, probably in the 60s sometime, I would think.
She was a star, though, wasn't she?
That's a real.
Yeah.
She a star. She's
Yeah.
one of the biggest stars America's ever had, and you got to dance with her, Bob.
What the heck?
I know it was.
I mean,
like-
holy cow. Okay, so talk about the role that alcohol had in your life while this was all going on.
alcohol.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It was everything,
All right.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it helped a lot. Yeah, it seemed like it did. You know what I mean?
Until it didn't.
It went for a long time before that happened because I got into a lot of other stuff. You know, besides I
Sure.
did mess with the you name the drugs. I never put a needle in my arm. I didn't want to do that, but I did everything else pretty much.
And I think the story is not an unusual story, right?
Right.
I mean, a lot of guys, even to this day.
Yeah.
But you're one of the fortunate ones in that you made it out alive, Bob.
I know. It's a miracle. It really is, because I was riding motorcycles a lot doing that too.
Right.
You know, and I wrecked a few.
So you were drunk, high, and on a motorcycle.
Well, I never got to where a point where no, that's not true. One time I did get out of line and didn't remember riding a motorcycle, but I got to where I was going. And I pretty much was pretty bad at the bar. I was ripping shirts off people and stuff, you know, in a biker bar. I was out of control.
You're not a young man.
I know. Well, I was probably in my 30s or 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably more like 40s. But yeah, it was crazy. But it was at a bar you could go and carry on. You know?
So what about that? I mean, did you ever kind of go, I know I'm crazy. This has got to end somehow. I'm going to kill myself, somebody that I love. I mean, you know, you said you know in the article I read about you, you've been married, divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You were generally pretty much like a lot of guys who do those kind of things, a chaos machine.
Yeah, like a bomb. But you know, but I put up with it and did it for quite a while. You know, it was. I don't know how to put it exactly, but.
It just was your life.
It was my life, yeah.
And so why did it change?
Well, I was ready to do suicide.
Really?
My second marriage was going down the tubes. I bought a bunch of stuff up, drugs and booze, and went to my trailer in Freeport and figured I'm just going to shoot myself, get out of this, I'm done with it. So that's what I started to do. I party with myself. And then I decided time to load the gun and do it. And I sat down on the bed, got the gun loaded. TV sitting on right across from me. I start watching it. 700 Club, Pat Robinson.
Really?
I start watching it. And I watched it for a while, and then I talked about praying and stuff. I prayed with him the sinner's prayer and asked Jesus to take control, and he did. I set the gun down, went to bed, and then woke up in the morning, and my second wife called me up. It was on a Sunday morning, and we're talking a little bit, and she was in a rehab, and we're talking a little bit, and she says, what's up with you? I said, what do you mean? She said, you're not swearing. And I told her what happened. I said, well, I did this prayer and stuff like that. I told her a little bit. She said, oh, you're born again, she said. I said, oh, is that what that is? You know?
Really? That's the first time you heard that.
And that ended it. That was the end of it. It all ended that night.
That night, you became a different person.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So,
really.
so you pray the prayer with Pat Robertson via TV. You go to bed. You wake up in the morning. And it's over.
Yes, and I thought when I woke up at first, I thought I'd have a big hangover but I didn't feel nothing. I felt great. It was like never happened, like it never happened, all the drinking and that the night before. But I did feel good.
How long ago was that?
Oh, geez, that was in late 80s, I believe.
Okay.
88, 89, something like that, I think.
Now, sitting next to you is Susan, your wife.
She's my third wife.
And Susan, so you've never seen Bob as a crazy person?
No, I didn't. I've heard all the stories.
Wow. And how long have you been married?
21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So I'm just so amazed that so what did your friends say, Bob? The people you'd been partying with for decades.
Well, they knew I did something, you know. They knew I did something because I'd quit going to the bars immediately, you know. And then it wasn't long down the road, I run into the Sons of God, the motorcycle people.
Yeah.
And they were at the, my daughter was going to church in Dorseyville Alliance, right in Dorseyville. And she got wind of me, you know, getting saved. And, well, she actually brought me a Bible to my house.
First time you had a Bible?
Yeah.
So you hadn't previous to seeing Pat Robertson on TV that night?
No,
Bob,
never before.
You'd never thought about? Had you thought about God? Had you?
No, I didn't. Anything I did with God, I was sort of a Catholic, I guess you'd say. I'd go to weddings. I'd go to funerals, take a basket, get it blessed with oil, or no, they watered it, I think. Yeah, for, Easter. That was about the extent of it. Yeah.
Wow. That's a great story.
It's an amazing story. We're talking to Bob Lipinski. There's a profile written about him by Chris Mamula in the November 1st PG.
So you and Susan now, married 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
You operate a business. You're a car guy still at this age.
Yep.
How old are you now?
I'll be 81 in February.
Hey,
Wow,
fabulous.
you look terrific.
You do look terrific.
Yeah, God is good.
That's good. Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever make anywhere near this.
No, yeah. Had you known, right? I mean, you're still
No,
standing.
I had no idea, but the way I was, I figured I probably ain't going to see 40,
Right,
because
right.
I was really I rode fast all the time when I rode the bikes,
Are you done with the bikes?
No, not really.
Okay.
What are you
Actually-
riding?
We got a 1100 Kawasaki,
I know that.
and
It's a big beast.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to go fast. I still do. It's tough.
Susan, are you going with him on a bike?
Oh yeah. Well, we actually both had a bike.
Yeah.
We both had 1100 cows, the same bike.
Those
Yep.
are big bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was heavy. I can't do it now. It's just don't have the strength anymore.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do like to ride myself. But we met we were both in motorcycle ministry.
Mm-hmm.
He was with the Sons of God, and I was with the CMA, the Christian Motorcycle Association.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we met in church, but we were doing both Christian biker ministry. So the Lord put us together.
Yeah.
Because I really wasn't interested anyway. As a matter of fact, his son was into racing at Lernerville Raceway in
Okay.
Sarver. And he said, "Do you want to go to the racetrack with me?" I said, "Okay, but it's not a date." So we joked that our first date was not a date.
Sure. 21 years later, it seemed to pan out pretty well.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. We waited 2 years because I said, okay, I'm patient. I'll just do what God wants me to do here. And I was doing that. We did some stuff together.
Sure.
And rode motorcycles a lot everywhere. Went to different functions, with the bikers, the outlaw bikers, and that. And, it was really interesting. It was just I can't say the word. Fulfilled my life
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure it did.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Okay, how'd you get the nickname Dr. Bob?
Well, when I fixed cars for a long time, I got that name. I picked it up, as a car doctor, yeah. And then when I got saved, I said, I can use this another way. I said, tell people, well, they said, ask that question too. I said, well, being I'm a car doctor, I'm a heart doctor too, and I'll pray for you to receive a new heart from God,
Just
Stuff
like it happened to you.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Bob. As last question I have, what about the friends that you partied with? You said that they knew something happened to you.
Yeah.
Did you keep those relationships with those people?
I know, yeah, I pretty well. I know them all.
Yeah.
They're still all around. I prayed with a few of them and got them to join me. You know, God used me a lot that way. Still does.
What's interesting is you seem like such an affable guy, right? And, it sort of belies the fact that, in the chaos of alcohol and drugs and doing just about anything, anywhere, anytime.
At high speed.
Right. It would make you, I would think, the energy would sort of be transformative to the opposite way, like, anger and rage to some degree. But it doesn't seem like you possessed any of that ever in your life.
Well, I did. I had it. I fought a lot of fist fights. I did. I loved to fight. At one point, I wish I could have got with Cassius Clay without gloves. But, I would have done it probably.
Right. But
But I
praise
didn't.
God. I mean, look, you're just a new creation in Christ.
Amen. You got that right.
Wow. So, looking back, can you imagine what your life would have been if you wouldn't have met God that night?
Well, I probably wouldn't be here because I would have shot myself. I would have been gone. And I was right around 50 when that happened.
So here you are, 31 years plus, right? And
Amen.
going strong.
Yeah.
And Susan, it's been a journey for you as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, actually, at one point, I had considered suicide myself because
Before you met Bob?
Yeah, this was before. Because my first marriage, I was just, my husband left, I was devastated. And, considered driving my car off the Freeport Bridge. But I didn't. And I just said to the Lord, well, it's either that or you. And fortunately, I chose him.
I mean, when the two of you compare your stories, I mean,
Very similar.
that God's working, right? I mean, what's interesting is that when you look at Christianity today, especially from a secular viewpoint, people hear these stories. I mean, you're obviously living proof of God's movement in your life. I mean, it's undeniable, right? You are
That's
new
right.
creation. You are new people here.
That's right.
And people would, kind of poo-poo this and go, "Oh, that's just, that's made up. That's not.
No,
how can
it's-
that even be?"
No, it's you don't make it up. It's God's thing. And when you join God, you're set. If you're true with doing what God wants, it's really good. It really is. It's very fulfilling, and it's just nice. It's just nice. And we get along well. I mean, we have our disagreements here and there,
it's
but
life.
who don't?
Right? Who does? I mean, everybody,
But yeah, and quite a good life now.
quite a good life.
It's so nice to meet both of you.
Yeah, Bob. Yes. Susan.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And thanks to Chris Mamula for writing this great piece.
Yeah, as an encouragement to anybody
Yes.
who's listening right now to think, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm going to end things. Or
Right.
God can never love me, or I'm just too evil or angry or whatnot. You're living proof of God's faithfulness.
I sure am.
Amen.
Both of us are. We are, and I just pray for people to just come and talk, and and that's what's nice about our business. I can do that working for myself. People come and we talk about God and stuff like that because we sort of get them in a corner when we're.
There'd be a time you wouldn't want to get in the corner with Bob Lipinski,
That's
would you?
for sure. All
Bob,
right.
give your business a plug. If people want to stop by and say, hey.
Yeah, well, they can. Yeah,
Where are you?
people do. We're right on Sandy Hill Road, and like I said, it's right around Saxonburg, right off of
Okay.
228 in Saxonburg.
Very
it's,
nice.
Just short of it a little bit.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
It's Bob
Yeah.
Lipinski and his wife Susan. Thanks for being
Thanks. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
Our pleasure. We'll take a quick break, come back.
here. Does this make sense?
Does this make sense? That's straight ahead. You're listening to Pittsburgh's Christian Talk, 101.5 Word FM, WORD. Kids.
Oh, Nick's.
Oh my gosh. Oops.
Does this make sense?
Does what make sense?
The watch.
The watch? Mm-hmm. Like a wristwatch?
Wristwatch. In the era of smartphones, where the time is always like at your and the very particular time
Yeah.
is at your disposal. It's all over your computer. It's all over your iPad.
Right.
It's all over everything.
My kid bought an Apple Watch. Oh, there you go.
Okay. She's got an Apple Watch. But I don't mean an Apple Watch.
You mean just a regular
I mean a
wristwatch?
wristwatch. I don't mean an Apple Watch. I should have specified a non-Apple watch.
Well, I wanted to make sense because I like the idea of something beautiful, and many watches, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to have something beautiful on your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
It always felt good. Like that was like an extension in some way of your personality. I've got something beautiful, and I see the time immediately. Now I haven't worn a wristwatch for easily 20 years.
Wow. I haven't worn one since COVID.
Okay.
I always wore one. But I haven't picked it up again, and which is why I'm asking the question, John. Does the wristwatch? No.
It doesn't make
does
sense.
not make sense.
Aesthetically, yes, it makes sense.
Well, aesthetically matters.
Well, just as a practical matter, it doesn't make any sense at all. I could care less about having a wristwatch. I'll probably never wear one again.
I believe you're wrong, John.
Okay.
And I indict myself, having not worn a wristwatch since COVID began. I believe a wristwatch makes perfect sense. I believe that having something that's simple, straightforward, and beautiful can only improve life.
You mean like your phone?
It's not really beautiful.
Yes, it's very beautiful. It's stunningly beautiful. We've grown coarse against it because we've forgotten how incredibly complex and gorgeous the technology is. Your phone's gorgeous.
This isn't Are We Ungrateful? It's
Okay.
Does This Make Sense? Okay.
All right. Okay. So you're saying a watch makes sense. I
Yes.
think it does make sense. Okay, does this make sense? Hand and or face cream.
Oh, you mean like the hand lotion, like you're going to keep in maybe your office drawer, you're
Yep.
going to pull it out.
Or it's
you're
in your
gonna-
bathroom
Sure.
counter.
Mhm.
This is the season. You know, once the heat goes on, the temperatures dip down, you know, I like it. Now, growing up with 5 sisters, I always had like this bouquet of hand cream available
Can
to
you
me.
imagine,
A
John,
bouquet, let me
with
try
all the
this.
options?
I'll try this for a little bit. But now, you know, just regular. I like it. But it's kind of weird. I find myself putting it on. I kind of go, do a lot of people do this? Do like guys use hand cream or face cream? It makes sense to me because I don't want to have like that cracked old crusty
Yes, it does.
lobster
Yes,
kind of
it
thing
does.
going on.
All the day long.
I mean, a lot of guys don't use it.
Well, those guys
think-
are wrong, John.
Your husband? Is he himself?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. So I would say hand cream, face cream makes sense. I was out on Saturday afternoon running a few errands, and I ran into a friend of mine, a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen for a while. There we were on the same street together, walking towards each other. I was like, "Hey, man," and he said to me, "Hey, it's good to see you. Are you cool if I give you a hug?" And I was like, "Yeah, come here." And, which really sort of, after the fact, I thought about it. I mean, I was a little surprised at first that someone would say, "Can I hug you?" But I get it. There is this sort of awkwardness, even still, deep into the pandemic, that we're still trying to figure out our social cues of what is allowable, first for ourselves and our families, and then in our social circles, or, friends old and new. So a buddy of mine is asking me for permission to give me a hug, where in the past you just go, "Hey, man," and you'd hug each other. How about the idea of a handshake? I mean, here in the studio, people come in we haven't seen, or brand new people, and now, I never thought about shaking somebody's hand that much before. Just the mechanics of it all. Now I'm deeply conscious of it. People will tend to give you the fist bump instead of a handshake.
Right.
And so we've reached this whole horizon of what is socially acceptable. And in some ways, I hate to say it, it involves your worldview, your Christian worldview, and your politics.
Oh, spare me.
It's true, isn't it?
Spare me. In today's Wall Street Journal, there's an article called "Don't Be That Awkward Colleague, A Guide to Office Etiquette," which is what got John and I thinking about this subject. And it talks about how people are coming back into the office, especially over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Aren't you already back? I mean, who's coming back now? It's late.
No, there are a lot of people that are coming back recently, which is why they wrote the article. And so they said that we're back in the office, but maybe our social skills stayed at home. We don't really remember. If you haven't been interacting with people, you forget how. It's like any muscle, right? You don't use it, you lose it.
When do we come back?
June. Yeah, second week in June. So according to the Wall Street Journal, the article by Rachel Feinzig, she said the first thing is don't assume somebody wants a hug.
Okay, so there's my buddy. He's ahead of the curve.
Don't assume. Do not assume that.
We met people for lunch last week. They were strangers to us.
Mm-hmm.
When we were leaving, we were hugging. Heck, I was kissing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a kisser. That's just, I don't even think about it.
You don't even think about it. If you go in for a handshake, says the Wall Street Journal, and the other person pulls back, apologize. Explain you didn't mean to make them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Another option is you could say that, "I'm sorry, this is awkward. Like, I'm not sure how to do this." Instead of just deciding on a course of action, you can kind of include the other people.
Wait, I got to throw my awkwardness out there, and now we have to discuss my awkwardness?
I'm just saying that's one of the things to talk about. Okay. What about being in an office and asking someone to put on a mask? We've had to do that here in the studio.
Yeah, we've had to ask. I mean, look, well, we're in a tight little space here. I mean, this is it's not that big of a room. So,
and it's pretty much airtight.
Well, look, we just had Bob and Susan in here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask anything about a mask.
No, but in the past we have asked people to put on masks.
Well, that's why I asked. We've been here since June,
right.
So I kind of feel like all bets are off at this point. You're coming in here, I'm shotted up, and that's just how it is. That's how I feel.
But in the article goes on to say that when you're talking about masking, you don't want to give the person the feeling that you look at them as, quote, the germy one. Right? Like, I'd like you to put on a mask because you don't look
the germy one. I don't know. What would you feel? Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Are you going to ask someone to put a mask on?
I would not do that.
That's too awkward.
Even if I should,
no,
I probably should. Okay, so here.
What?
So
that's crazy.
Now it goes on to say, yes, you can go further and ask a coworker if they're vaccinated. Okay?
I'm not even doing that.
It's not like a HIPAA violation. More complicated is when an employee asks a manager about a colleague's vaccination status. So I'm going to ask our boss if you've had a shot. Okay?
So, come on. It's like...
Yeah. Okay, so it's a public health crisis, the Wall Street Journal says. So if you want to soften the approach, first ask for permission to ask them about it. Something like, hey, I'm curious. Are you willing to talk about your vaccination status, which you've done with people here in the studio?
I have.
You have,
I have.
right?
Yeah, well, because people were walking in off the street, and especially early on, I was like, I don't know, you're going to sit in this room with me. Where are you?
Right. Okay, here's one other thing. Close talkers. Now,
What?
listen, before I ever was familiar with the word pandemic,
Oh, well,
I can't stand close talking.
Some people just do that.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
So if you do that, you should stop because it makes people like
Well,
me very uncomfortable.
I just think not just lack of awareness, or I don't know what it is, but just some people are more predisposed to close talking. If someone's close talking on me, I'm going to back up, aren't you?
Yeah, and then they keep coming at me, John.
Then I'm backing up again, and backing up and back until my head's
Listen,
against
Christy,
the wall.
you feel the same way, don't you?
I feel the same way. They just keep coming closer and closer. Back up. 6 feet.
I mean,
That's a psychological thing. I think that the people are so engaged in the conversation. I kind of take it as weird as it is. I take it it's like kind of like a positive thing that they want to be connected to you somehow so deeply that they're willing to step in closer.
Right.
It doesn't make me shout for joy that
he's
they're
like
going
a
to
nicer person than we are.
No,
Christy.
you're just trying to work it out, right? What am I going to do? Hey, would you back off?
No, I
you
wouldn't
just
want to
step
say
away,
that,
please?
but it is
Step off.
it is frustrating when you feel like you give social cues like that we're too close, and I keep backing up, and then they,
Well, you know who I am. I'm a toucher.
right?
I'll touch your arm
Yep.
as a means of a connection. I don't know what that even means.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, some people don't even like that. One time I touched the guy's arm. He was like, "Don't do that again." I was like, I thought he was going to punch me in the head. I'm just trying to connect with you, my friend. And I wasn't even like trying to do. And of course, I got it right away.
Yeah. Was it a bank teller? Were you like reaching
No.
through like the little vent thing, like pat his arm?
Hi, hi, are you? Hi, I'm John.
Is that what it was?
I'm John. I want to touch
That is
you. No, I was just making conversation, and I'm just making. I don't know. It's complex. Human interaction is very complex. It's made 5,000 times more complex by this crazy thing we've been doing for the last forever and ever. And it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to go away. It's not.
Okay.
I was looking at. I think I told you about this today. I'm reading about chips. Like I'm obsessed with chip manufacturing for cars. They're saying the chip thing is going to go on until 2024.
I thought you were upset about potato chips. Concerned about what the snack
I am.
is for tonight.
Don't get me started on potato chips because I need a bag.
Hit the button.
Okay. Oh, we're getting out of here.
Yeah, we're getting out of here.
Okay.
When we return,
give me a fist bump.
I don't want
Bump
to.
it.
I don't
Bump
want
it,
to. You're
Kath.
too close to me.
Hey, put a mask on.
Back it up. How'd our picks from Friday turn out? We'll talk about Pitt and Duke, the Wild at Pens, and I'll give you a chance to change your vote for tonight if you feel like you need
All right.
to.
Give me a
widen the
bump it. Come on.
No. Football night in Pittsburgh. Steelers welcome the Chicago Bears to Heinz Field tonight for an 8:15 kickoff.
Is this our only Monday night appearance?
I think so.
Remember, sometimes we'd regularly appear 3 or 4 times.
Or
and it's-
between Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday
Right.
night. There might be another night game.
Okay.
I don't think it's on a Monday.
I mean, we're not the sweethearts we once were.
No, but I don't know what is happening in our division because every time I think that someone's going to take over, something ridiculous happens. I mean, Cincinnati ruined Baltimore a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what Cleveland did to them yesterday. I mean, it was
crushed them.
outrageous.
Yeah.
So all I can tell you is that the division is there for the taking. If the Steelers won it, this needs to be a win tonight. Next week needs to be a win.
What are you hoping for? What's the best you hope for?
For the season?
Yeah.
The best I hope for 12-5.
No, I'm saying you're hoping for
Win the division.
deep in the playoffs.
Win the division for sure. That's what
Win
I'm
the
looking
division
for.
and
It's there. I mean, we could win the division.
12-5. I mean, I think in the
You
earlier,
said what's the best you can hope for? I'm telling you, that's what I'm hoping
okay.
for.
I mean, but earlier on in the year, we were going like, oh, they'll be lucky to win 3 games.
I never said that.
I think I may have. Did I say that?
Yeah, and now you're ahead in our picks, which is really frustrating.
It's just I'm just a homer
Yeah.
because I love them.
Okay, so last week, Christy and I went 1-2. You went 2-1.
Bingo.
The week before, Christy and I went 1-1, and you went 2-0.
Yeah.
It's just really upsetting, the whole thing. So, okay, talk to us about our picks from Friday, Christy, because I wrote them down on that piece of paper, and then I gave it to somebody.
So the Pitt game, we'll start with that.
You hit that.
I hit that. I said 44-20 Pitt. So
Yeah.
I was kind of close. Oh, Kathy, you were close too. You said 45-17 Pitt.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
And John said 37-10 Pitt.
Okay, so we all got that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Pens game, I said 4-2 Wild.
Yeah.
Kath said 3-1 Wild.
Mm-hmm.
John said 4-3 Pens.
I'm a homer. Okay, so I lost. You guys won.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it brings us to tonight.
Tonight's game.
So as of Friday, what had we chosen, Christy?
I said 24-17 Steelers. John said 17-10 Steelers. And Kath said 28-14 Steelers.
I'm staying. I feel good with 17-10.
Do you?
Well, neither team are offensive juggernauts, are they?
No, I don't think you can say
Right.
that.
So I think the Steelers will be fortunate to, I hate to say it, score 17.
No, I think you're wrong about that.
All right.
I'm
At least you got a
going.
bag of chips.
I'm going to change my pick.
What?
Yep, I
You
am.
can't do that.
Yep.
How can you change
I
it?
just
You made the rules.
I extended that to you two, and so I'm extending it to me as well. 31-14.
Whoa.
That's how good I feel about tonight, you guys.
Whoa.
It was 28-14. I'm going 31-14.
That'll never happen.
Okay, Christy,
I'm
you
sorry.
changing things up?
I'm not. I'm sticking with my score.
24-17?
24-17. Just because yesterday, all those decent teams got upset.
I
so
know.
I'm just going to stick with what I know.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I'm feeling very optimistic.
Yeah, obviously.
And you know what I decided? I decided that I'm making popcorn tonight.
Okay.
I'm doing it. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, I'm still doing the salad and the scrambled eggs and the whole, that.
But no chips.
I don't think so. I think I want popcorn tonight.
Christy, your snack?
I'm going to stop at the store. I'll stop at
Yeah.
Market District on my way home.
Market
All right.
District?
And what will you get?
I have no idea. Well, I don't know. I don't shop at Market District, so we'll see what's there.
Oh,
Okay.
because you're like waiting for somebody to deliver
Well, if
your
it's
stuff.
a market district,
Well,
you're
yeah.
going to have 85 kinds of chips
I
to
know.
pick from.
It's going to be
too
great.
much. No, it's too
gonna
much.
be great.
It's too much. It's
Would you do
too
a
much.
Cheeto?
I haven't had
like
a Cheeto in
I like
years.
a Cheeto.
So good.
The
Cheetos-
puffed ones are not.
I'll do those. I mean, but a Cheeto is like, the hard,
It's good stuff.
tight.
Really?
I don't mind the puff once in a while.
Okay.
But I like the Cheeto, which is a step up from the hard puff.
Okay, let me challenge you with this. I found a new chip. It's the Utz fried dill pickle chip.
No, I'm not doing that. No.
I do it.
missing
No.
out.
I do it all day.
It's
Nope.
and you know what?
Don't
It's
muddy
got
the
a
waters.
terrific texture.
dill
Really,
pickle?
really good texture.
No, that's a little too weird for my taste.
No, it's not weird at all.
Because then, does it make any room for dip?
No, you don't need dip.
Dip is the only reason to have a chip.
No, it's not true.
Come on. Steelers. Steeler Nation.
Let's go Steelers.
Let's get a win
Let's do it.
and have a chip. Have a great night.
31-14, come through for me.